Today we're looking at what happens when a permaculture genius, don't use the word lightly, when a permaculture genius decides to turn their unwanted swimming pool into a productive pond. Now you might hear in the background some surf. Well, that's because we're at Newport. We've ventured out of Ku-ring-gai and we're going to see all the elements that go into it, into a productive pond. The planter boxes with the plants, the fish, and we're actually going to see the end result. I've got JJ and Richard with me, and these two run one of the most fantastic permaculture outfits you've ever seen. In fact, I'd like to call it a productive pond. Could you give me some idea of the productive pond and how it happened?
Sure. Well, we purchased this house next to us a few years back and it had a pool. We weren't interested in swimming in it because we have a beautiful beach. So we decided that we'd find another use for it. And actually, when looking around to see how we could best use it, I came across Ku-ring-gai Council's website and saw the pool to pond program. I thought that sounds interesting. I think we could do that with our pool. We put some fish in, we put some plants in, and then we started getting a little bit more interested in aquaponics, and we decided to tie our aquaponics into our swimming pool.
So how long have you been doing this?
Close to 4 years.
I'm not kidding. When you look at your pond, it doesn't look like 4 years. It looks like a lifetime's work. So in 4 years, someone can go from chlorinated to a beautiful, productive pond. I've brought a number of Ku-ring-gai residents with me today to check out this system. They're very interested in the pool to pond. In fact, some of them have already turned their pools into ponds. This is classic permaculture. The swimming pool is filled with fish. The water from the pool is pumped into the above ground garden beds. That's where a whole lot of vegetables are growing. This water goes through the above ground beds, is filtered by the bacteria and the pebbles, then goes back into the pool. It's a closed system, it's very simple, it's very elegant. JJ contacted me a few years ago because she wanted some help.
So we ended up with this house kind of by accident, and it had a swimming pool which we didn't really want to maintain. And that's when I contacted Peter and I found out about the pool to pond program. And Peter was kind enough to send me off to get some little fish. We left the filter off for a while and we stopped the chlorine for a while, and when it was ready we put those little fish in. Within about 6 months there was hundreds of little fish in here. You know, you couldn't look anywhere and not see little tiny fish. We decided that it would be nice to try aquaponics. And at that stage, I hadn't really considered using the pool because it's just too big a volume. So I just got one tank. And in the end, I decided to put it in the pool, mostly just because that's what was practical. We just started like that. The first year we put in 60 silver perch. What happens after 6 months? The guy who sells me the silver perch, he says, oh, it's trout season now. How about we put your perch in the pool and we'll put the trout in the tank? And they're not ready to eat. They take about 2.5 to 3.5 years to grow out. Trout are fast to grow. You can just grow them over the winter season. And so it just kind of grew from that, really. You know, every time it comes time for the new season of fish, with the trout, we harvest them and eat them. Or with the perch, we put them in the pool. So we've now got 550. So there's still 200 in these little tanks that are little guys. They're about to come out and go into the pool when the trout come. What happened was, after we'd had the perch for a while and we realised they're big enough to start eating, we're like, how are we going to catch these perch? And so we started going fishing with a fishing line. And at first, the perch are really easy to catch. They're like, oh, there's a worm. I thought, oh, this is pretty easy. But of course, the more you fish, the harder it gets to catch them. And we now realise also certain times of year are easier to catch the fish and certain times of year are harder to catch the fish. Also, what happened, we ended up having 2 generations in the pool. It's often the younger fish that we were catching. So then we decided to make these cages so that when they come from the little tanks, they can go first into the cages. So very nice kind of closed system there. You do have to feed your fish, of course. These perch, for their first 1.5 years that we had them, we didn't feed them anything. They probably ate some of the small fish, but I still find a lot of small fish in the pool. Probably it was nice that we let those little native fish have a good 8 months before there was any predators at all in there. They had exploded in number, and so if anything, when the perch went in, it probably just, you know, balanced things up a little bit. The things that appear in your pool are amazing, like there's little snails, there's all kinds of wriggly things. I don't know where they come from. It's a mystery, isn't it? In the end, you end up with a whole ecosystem that kind of creates itself.
Do you have to go to the supermarket?
Oh, do I have to go to the supermarket? I never go to the supermarket, to be honest.
Yes.
But of course, you know, you still need to eat rice and things that you can't grow in your garden. We've only been growing food for not quite 4 years.
Really? 4 years? This is
Yeah.
4 years?
Yeah, 4
Okay.
years.
Come on, Ku-ring-gai, you can do it. Thanks for joining us at Envirotube. Where do we find these stories? I just don't know. But this is a classic and I hope you've enjoyed it.